It's crunch time in the Ninja A-League. All or nothing, high-stakes football. Keane into Victory's defence. McMahon, well, that's special!
She hit that plum. It would have felt amazing.
If she can find a centering ball, that will be important. Flannery.
Well, it's a fantastic chance.
Janchevsky. Off the crossbar this time. And there it is. Job done. Melbourne City punch their ticket to the Ninja A-League Grand Final.
No mai hare mai, and welcome to a sold-out Porirua Park. Melbourne City lie in wait. The Raw bring a 2-1 advantage with them from Queensland to this historic encounter. We can watch as Woods up and over, and we reach parity at Porirua Park. Makala Woods as Anthony tees up Makala Woods. And it's agonisingly wide. It's Woods. Can she win it? Unbelievable defending. We are heading to extra time. Early ball played through from Brooke Nunn. And a mistake. Makala Woods capitalises. Advantage Phoenix. Caitlin Williams calls it. History made for Wellington Phoenix. They advance to an A-League's grand final for the very first time.
Emotional scenes, and we are down to 2. Premiers Melbourne City will host Wellington Phoenix in the Ninja A-League Grand Final. Hello and welcome to Dub Zone. I'm Amy Duggan, joined by A-League's commentator Teo Pellizzeri and Sydney FC's Bianca Gittany. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Great to have you here. Garlic to Gittany now, but this time of the year must bring back so many memories for you.
Definitely, definitely. It was probably one of the most exciting moments of my career, heading into a grand final, and obviously a buzz that, you can't really explain in words. You have those emotions, over the course of a season with your teammates, and to get the win and obviously celebrate that afterwards was just awesome.
Yeah, great memories, and here we are at the pointy end of this season. Teo, how did we end up here?
Well, it's exciting. I think the 2 best resourced clubs and perhaps the 2 best recruiters have found their way to the grand final, and I'm looking forward to just unpicking how they got through their respective semi-finals.
Well, let's do that then to the weekend's action, where Melbourne City made a back-to-back 1-0 wins over Victory to book their place in the grand final, and it was all thanks to Shelby McMahon. Bianca, it's her 18th birthday today, and what an early present was the weekend.
Yeah, 18, and she produces that on the weekend. She's definitely a player that produces a lot within a game, and to bring this type of strike and I guess goal-winning mentality into the semi-finals to lead her team to a grand final is just unbelievable at her age.
And for Victory, Teo, they didn't hit the back of the net in either leg of the semi-final after putting 3 past Canberra in the elimination final. Did get close though, hitting the post.
They did, but they just didn't have the answers. They played 4 times against City this season, didn't score in any of the last 3 of them. And until hitting the crossbar in stoppage time, the stats, the shot stats, the XG, a rare instance of me disagreeing with XG, I think it's all a little bit misleading. Melbourne Victory just didn't look like scoring for a lot of these 2 ties. Milena Mires may have been the Opta player of the match, but I don't think Mires did a great deal other than catch a few crosses and really organise the defence. And Melbourne Victory, I think they just lacked the quality, and dare I suggest, because belief had been a big thing going into the Canberra game, they lacked the belief they could do it, and I think Jeff Hopkins put such an emphasis on believing in the ability to come back, because perhaps he identified ahead of time that the team wasn't playing like a team that believed. What were your impressions as you watched Victory unsuccessfully chase a 1 and then after the 34th minute, a 2-goal deficit in the game?
Yeah, you can clearly see there they've sort of hit the crossbar, and I guess all their other chances are either at the keeper or not on target. So in itself, it's, the only way you're going to score is if you do hit it on target and you hit it well. And I think there's been changes to their lineup, and maybe in that a little bit of confidence has shifted. Always Melbourne derbies are a big game, but I think at the end of the day, the team that won the game was the one that wanted it a little bit more.
I think the trap here as we wave goodbye to Victory for the season is Yes, they lost last season on penalties. Yes, they lose this season in the semi-final narrowly. Well, next season it might be missing the top 6 narrowly. It's diminishing returns. They need to get in, work out what went wrong this season for them to only finish 6th, and they need to fix it, because if they just come back and roll it over again, near enough is good enough, they are going to fade, regardless of what's going on at other clubs. I just don't like the trend that they're on at the moment.
Take nothing away from Shelby McMahon's strike, which was an absolute heartbreaker for Melbourne Victory head coach Jeff Hopkins. Let's hear from him now following the defeat on Saturday.
I've just said to the girls, I'm extremely proud of everyone, the way we went about things today. There were moments there where the game could have turned in our direction and things might have been a little bit different, but every credit to City. They stuck with it, they defended really well, and I just want to wish them best of luck next week. We came into the game with a really positive mindset, and we for a big part of the first half and a big part of the second half, we took the game to City and had a real good go. We weren't scared. In terms of our mindset and the way that we went about things and the way that we attacked our tactical plan was great. Probably in the real key moments of the game, we were just left wanting a little bit, and they're the things we need to work on for next year.
Jeff Hopkins there on Victory, coming up short in those big moments. 1 draw and 3 defeats to their derby rivals this season. For City, though, Bianca, their second grand final in 3 years. They obviously went through undefeated up until they lost that semi-final match to the Mariners. How have they managed to go one better this season?
Look, I think City are always that team that want more and will always sign players in order to get one step further. So for them this season, it was a non-negotiable to make the grand final and probably in their sights win the grand final. They've combined well up top, and I think within the last 2 games we've seen different goal scorers that are obviously shaping the game. Last year, Holly Mack was one of the biggest contributors to their goals and obviously one that they relied on, whereas now a little bit of everyone's getting a share of the plate. And I think if you want to win games and have that consistency, you need everyone brought to the party.
I think the thing about Melbourne City is they've probably ridden bumps that could have derailed any other team's season. That gap in the middle of the season where they lost Hughes and Davidson at the same time and their results dipped as a consequence of 2 key midfielders being out of the team. They've rehabbed them, they've got them back. Briley Henry started the season late, probably came back a little bit earlier than expected, and is now growing into great form. You know, we saw 18 Keane potentially roll an ankle at the weekend, gets treated, runs it off, ends up as player of the match. Yeah, as a football department, Melbourne City are elite, and they have rehabbed their injuries, they have been able to manage their squad, and they've got themselves to the grand final, I think, largely by doing things that other teams, if they were faced with similar hurdles, would trip, and Melbourne City haven't.
And don't forget Champions League and all the catch-up in there as well. It's been a tumultuous one as far as fixtures go for them, but they're on top at the moment. Let's get the thoughts of Victoria's City coach Michael Matriciani, who was understandably very relieved after Saturday's win.
I think we've learnt a lot from this season, especially when teams are throwing extra players up or not dropping their wingers, especially in transition moments. And they've got very fast players. So I thought we managed that extremely well. Obviously, hit the crossbar at the end and a couple of dangerous crosses and shots. But overall, I thought we managed the game well and our game plan worked and we created our 4 or 5 chances as well. I think when we played Wellington here, I can't remember what round it was. I think it might have been around 7-10. And we won 1-0, but that was probably the first time that a team probably deserved to beat us and dominated us. Last season, we didn't have a team that basically did that to us. So having that this year sort of caused us some issues and we had to adjust and learn. But we've made those adjustments, so whatever they throw at us, we're ready.
Michael Matriciani there saying an early season scare against the Knicks helped to shape their season. As we welcome Melbourne City defender and friend of the show, Carly Roestbakken, to Dub Zone. Hey, Carly, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. You have been part of some great teams, Carly, but how does it feel to have the chance now to take to the field in your first ever Ninja A-League Grand Final?
Oh, it's unreal. I mean, the last time was 2 seasons ago against Sydney FC and I got injured in the first leg of the semis. So it's really special to be able to, you know, win both of our leg games and now go into a grand final. It's a personal goal that I've been striving for. But now as a team, we've got just one more thing to try to get.
Carly, I want to jump into talking about who might play this weekend, because we've seen the last couple of weeks 2 goalkeepers on the bench, with Danny Buttress out injured and the under-17s away. And I'm sure you know that the 17s have now qualified for the semi-finals, so they won't be back in time for the grand final because they're playing on the same day in China. So is Danny Buttress training? Is she likely to make the team for the grand final, or are we going to see 2 goalkeepers on the bench again?
I think that's a question that a lot of people are wondering. But no, at the moment, Danny, she's tracking really well, and it's up to the medical staff and our doctors and our physio teams and also our coach to see what she can, if she can push for that. But yeah, at the moment, it's all up to them.
Carly, we were just speaking before in terms of now this season, obviously you guys going one step further in terms of last season bowing out in the semis. What's been, I guess, within the team, what's been spoken about, how the girls been sort of finding this period, and obviously what has come from the coach in order to instill some of the values that have got you here and hopefully get you one step further?
I think it's definitely drawing on from last season. I think we learnt a lot from, the heartbreak that we experienced in that semi-final. Also, this season, Michael was really recruited well, and we brought in a lot of players, and I think we had that little bit of a dip in that season, but I think we almost needed that to build that resilience and to build that belief in a way. And I think now we're at a really good point in the season and with our team that we really do have that belief that we can go out there and do that. And I think, experiencing what we went through the last season and also the grand final a couple of years ago, we're still holding on to that. So we're really itching for Saturday, and it's something that we all really, really want.
Carly, we've just heard from Michael Matriciani talking about that first head-to-head against Wellington. Of course, that was a very different Wellington because Samba was playing for them then. The second head-to-head over in New Zealand, it was a case where it was Makala Woods' first appearance and she came off the bench and scored. And Wellington have evolved and become very different even since that meeting in round 12. So how much time has been spent in the tape room? How many sort of personal emails or handoffs do you get from the assistant coaches that are doing the work? Like, how much research are you doing into Wellington versus focusing on yourselves?
Well, obviously, we've played them twice and we know that they're a really strong team. We knew even before the season started they were going to be really strong contenders, and they've got some great personnel in there. We do, however, it's the City way. We go in there and we focus on ourselves a lot. What can we do? How can we break them down? Of course, we're looking at them, but we are really just thinking, okay, how can we break this team down and what can we do as a team to hopefully come away with the win?
And your own role this season, you've been quite versatile. I mean, away to Brisbane, we saw you play as a central midfielder. We know that Danielle Turner's played every minute of every game in defence, but yourself and Alexia Apostolakis are competing for a spot at the moment. Like, the depth and the quality of this City team to have yourself a capped Matilda and Alexia also a capped Matilda, battling for a spot in the starting 11. How has that competitive tension served you getting the best out of your performances?
I think it's been really great, and I think that's what is one of the best things about City is that you are always competing for a spot. It doesn't really matter what position you are, what status, what kind of player. And I've personally really enjoyed it. And I'm also really good friends with Lex, so it can sometimes make it a bit hard. But I think both of us, it's pushed us a lot. And I just think it makes our squad a lot better. And for most of this season, I was coming back from injury at the start and I was playing in different positions. I was playing wing, then I was playing six, but I personally loved it and I think it really helped me as a player. And then, I think just having the depth in the squad, you're always training your best. You want to train your best because it's no guarantee that you're going to start on the weekend, and that's how I like it.
Up front, you've got Holly Mack, of course, Golden Boot winner with 12 goals across the season, but I think it's been five games now without a goal. Carly, are you worried about that?
No. Not at all. I mean, I think what Bianca said really well is that, maybe last season we relied heavily on Holly, but I think this season so many people have stepped up. We've had Shelby, we've had Tish, we've got Aideen, Briley. I think it's amazing that we have you know, a lot of people that can produce moments when we need it. But I also do think Holly, she will pop up when we need her. So we're not too worried about that.
And Cully, just very quickly, VAR will be a feature of the grand final. Does that make you happy or does that make you cringe?
I think it's a good thing. I mean, if it goes our way, it's always a good thing. But no, I think VAR is something that is needed in finals, and I think we probably should have had in the semis as well. So, you know, if it goes our way, it's great. If it doesn't, then you can argue the other way.
Well, Carly Roestbakken, thank you so much. All the best for Saturday's decider against Wellington at Amy Park. It promises to be a great spectacle. Thanks again for joining us on Dub Zone.
Thank you for having me.
Let's head across the ditch now, where Wellington overcame a 1-goal deficit to end Brisbane's season and book their first ever grand final appearance. Bianca, we have to talk about the crowd at Roestbakken Park because it breathed a little easier when Makala Woods erased the advantage of Brisbane in the 46th minute.
Yeah, definitely. I think fans came out to watch a game and a game is what they got. I mean, this ball from Pia trying to pick out Woods, obviously got two defenders close by, bodies them, gets her body in front and then managed to get her boot at the end of that and chipping it over the keeper. So managing that in front of a crowd that's big and obviously loud and in your ear all the time, it's pretty special.
It was an outpouring of relief, though, because, yes, a big crowd is awesome, especially for an occasion like that, but a big crowd can also collectively get quite tense and it can actually be reflected in the energy of the game. So they needed that goal at that time. I think it would have been a much more nervy half-time had they gone in with Brisbane still ahead on aggregate.
Well, Wellington finally cracked Brisbane's defence again in extra time as Brooke Nunn sat this ball perfectly between Angie Beard and Chloe Lincoln. Woods was on the spot to tap it home and it was party time in Wellington from that moment, Bianca. But what a ball this was.
I mean, I love Brooke Nunn because this is the type of quality she can produce. She's seen the run early, obviously potentially thought at a brief moment that the defender was going to clear that easily, but you know, when the pieces fall as nice as they do, and they did for Woods, she can tap it home and tap it well.
And we've seen Nunn play that pass before. I mean, the goal that Woods scores against Melbourne City is Brooke Nunn from that exact wing. It was an aerial ball rather than one that took a few bounces, but that link-up is there, and they've used it, you know, deep in extra time in order to win their way through to a grand final. So great teamwork between the two players.
It should be one to keep an eye on come the big one. But let's hear now from head coach Bev Priestman after her team's history-making win.
Coming into the game today, there was no way we were losing, right? We were making that moment happen. That's what we said the vision was, is to make this city stop, make this country stop, and we're not done yet. I think that's the important thing, right? We're in a final. We know in finals anything can happen, but I'm just immensely proud of the players and, you know, the staff. I mean, they're a big part of what the players did today, and yeah, amazing moment. You know, we've only ever lost by a goal. We've scored some goals, and we have a very united group of staff and players who know what it means to Wellington, knows what it means to the country, and we've worked our arses off for it. And I think when you do that, you get your rewards. And I think we absolutely can beat Melbourne City. I've got no doubt about it, and we will.
Isn't it great to see Bev's team standing right behind her as well? Confidence is certainly at an all-time high across the ditch. Records broken throughout the season everywhere. Bianca, did it feel like a different Knicks team when you played them this year?
Definitely. I mean, last time when I was on the show, I pretty much said they were a top contender for this season. And I think the last few semi-finals have proved that. You can see how confident the squad is behind Bev. You can see how well the players get on with her. And I think when you're playing for a coach and also for a country that you're obviously enjoying your football with, and if you look at a lot of the girls, they play with smiles on their faces, they're going to produce games like that.
I mean, the most significant thing, I think, is if the Wellington win this grand final, they will be the second club in the 18-year history of this competition to win both the wooden spoon and a championship. Melbourne Victory is the only other team that's ever finished last and at a later date finished first. Now, the other records this season, highest ever finish, first time in finals, fewest goals conceded in a season by 13. I mean, Wellington's firepower is what we talk about, but their defence also massively improved, and as Bev Priestman mentioned, never lost by multiple goals, only ever lost by one goal in their defeats. First ever win against Victory, first ever win away in Newcastle, And the biggest ever defeat of an opponent as well, Bianca. 7-0 against Sydney FC.
Thanks for
just in case you'd forgotten.
I'd put that on the back burner, but thanks for reminding me. I thought this year was a new year.
Yeah, we're going to turn to Brisbane now and stop the bickering between these two, because it was a tough day at Porirua Park for the Raw. Injuries to Momo Hiyashi and Tamiki Yallop during the match meant it was really tough for Raw to get on the right foot.
Yeah, I mean, if you looked in the first semi, Momo had such a drive in that game. She was the one that started the comeback. Her driving header, she leads on and off the field. You've also got Yallop on there, which brings a world of experience. So when you lose two of those players, you're then looking around the field and sort of asking questions of the other girls who have played at high levels before, players like Woods and things like that, who are sort of you're next in line to be leaders. And if you don't have that, then it sort of can lead to where it did.
Brisbane have done extraordinarily well to get as far as they did. Again, with 3 home and away games to go, they played Newcastle in a game between 8th and 9th. And had they lost, they would have been 9th on the table and almost certainly out of the finals. So they hit form at exactly the right time, but they could have gone so much further, and here's why. Look at Wellington. Wellington lose Tessel Midarg after 1 game, and they lose Sumba, and they signed 2 injury replacements in Makala Woods and Mackenzie Anthony, imports no less. Brisbane Raw had Angie Beard fall in their laps. Why did Charlotte McLean sign for Sydney FC? If Raw had the resources, standing at centre-back could have been Charlotte McLean. I mean, if she's there to be signed as an injury replacement player, Raw lost Sian Fryer, Grace Kuilamu, they sell Leah Varley overseas. Imagine what Charlotte McLean could have done for that team on this finals run. And when I say the 2 best resourced teams made the finals, it's because Wellington committed and the Raw didn't. And I think Raw, when they go through their pre-season, they'll say, look, we get Kuilamu back, we get Sian Fryer back, we have a very good team, but it could have been this season. The opportunity was there for them.
And to be fair, Teo, moving forward without Momo Hiyashi and Tamiki Yallop in a grand final, I don't think the
but the thing is, though, Raw kept getting results regardless of the adversity that stacked up against them. So, had they made it through to the grand final, I think anything would be possible, especially given that they did lead Melbourne City 2-0, only to lose 5-2 when they met at Control Cyber Pitch.
Yeah.
Well, plenty of credit must go to Raw coach Alex Smith, who found a way to steer his team into the finals after so many of those setbacks this season. Here he is speaking after the heartbreaking loss on Sunday.
We did it tough for quite a while, so to be where we are was an achievement in itself. But just gutted for the girls. They're all devastated, obviously. But yeah, that's football sometimes, and that's final football.
And a message perhaps for your supporters back home?
Yeah, look, sorry we couldn't get the job done, but we'll be back next year ready for more.
Yeah, Alex Smith there thanking everyone for their support, and considering where they were a couple of months ago, a semi-final appearance looked unlikely for them, so hats off to the progress that they made this season. Let's head back to Wellington now, where we're pleased to welcome the Knicks semi-final hero, Makala Woods, moments away from boarding a plane to Melbourne with her teammates. Makala, thanks for joining us on Dub Zone.
Hi guys, how are you?
2 goals at an absolutely packed home ground in a knockout clash. It doesn't really get much better than that. It's stuff dreams are made of, isn't it, Makala?
I know, it feels a little bit weird, It's like all that big stuff happens and then it's like, oh, it's a new day. It's time to move on and we have something else to look forward to. But yeah, it was amazing. I couldn't have asked for it. Actually, I could have asked for it to be a little bit better and not gone into extra time, but I couldn't have asked for a better day, a better game. And yeah, it was just amazing.
Makala, it's been great to watch you hit the league with the impact that you have. And I remember on this panel on Dub Zone, I spoke about watching your college highlight reel the week that Wellington signed you before you'd even taken the pitch and said, you were the sort of player that was going to stretch defences and use your speed. When Bev Priestman had the conversation with you, did you envisage that it would work out as well as it has and you would be such a good fit for this Wellington team?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Bev. And obviously knowing she's a high-level coach and she's someone who knows what she's doing. And we talked about my role. And obviously things change. We talked about me in relation with Samba and all these other kind of things. And obviously Samba had that unfortunate injury. So I think this team is really good at, making quick changes, quick fixes. But yeah, I kind of knew my job. I knew my role was probably to run at people. We have Pia Vlok and Brooke Nunn who takes people on and can beat probably 3 or 4 defenders. So I kind of know where I'm supposed to be. on that back line making those threatening runs. So, yeah.
And before we get into the grand final, I wanted to ask another question about yourself, because you've signed a contract and committed to coming back to Wellington next season. What are your ambitions? I mean, are you thinking about the NWSL? Are you thinking about Europe? Or is Wellington home? And is that commitment to sign a new contract the reason that you've decided to stay in the Ninja A-League?
I mean, I feel like it's always an end goal to play at home. I think it'd be amazing to play at home, closer to family. My family could see all this kind of stuff. But also, I'm very, be where your feet are at. I mean, you can't pass up an opportunity like this. The facility, the club, the fans, the city, the fact that we're representing something bigger than ourselves, being the only professional women's league in New Zealand. So I just think wanting to be part of this special group of girls, and I just kind of knew from a month of being here that this is something special, and I really wanted to be part of it, and the fact that I get to be a part of it for another season is just amazing.
Hi, Makala. Bianca here. Firstly, congrats on your 2 goals. My question is more in relation to Brooke Nunn. I spent a lot of time with her last season at Central Coast, so I know she's just as crazy off the field as she is on the field. She's obviously living with you and probably spending every minute that she can now that you're sort of housemates and teammates. How have you sort of found, obviously, living with a teammate and then transitioning that into the field? How's A-League been in terms of, I guess, your previous experiences, and has that made it easier living with someone who's obviously then playing and training and feeling all those emotions with you?
Yeah, in the U.S. in college soccer, you tend to live with teammates as well. So I think, living, spending every single second with someone is not a new concept. And Brooke also makes it very easy. She was my first friend on the team. Well, she kind of had to be because I was waiting at home for her after Brisbane, hey, on the couch. But yeah, I think our relationship is so good. We bounce off of each other really well, just personality-wise. We're both very big personalities, and we're both very big people. And I think we kind of embrace that for each other. And yeah, I think Brooke's great. I think she's hilarious and she's funny, but she's also really grounded and down to earth. So, it's always a good time when Brooke is around, and I think that's definitely helped on the pitch. I also think we have that relationship where it's we can get on each other a little bit. We can hold each other accountable, hold each other to a higher standard on the field because we have that relationship off of the pitch living together. And I just think that's just something that is really important, and it comes through in really big moments. And yeah, and she's helped my transition to the A-League be really, really successful. I mean, it's a full circle moment. We were talking about it. She assisted my first goal at Porter Park, and she assisted my last one. So we were just talking about how amazing that all of that was. And luckily, the A-League is very similar to American college soccer, actually, with the physicality and it being transitional and always being on your toes and just being around a bunch of really good athletes. And so I think that was really, really helpful, especially in the conference that I was in. So I felt that transition wasn't too bad. I felt very much at home, actually, when I got here. It was very nerve-wracking, but once I got in the game, and I was like, oh, I know this. This is similar to me. This isn't anything new. So, yeah.
It's great to get your comparative thoughts on that, Makala, but I want to take you back to your debut match for the Phoenix at Roestbakken Park. You went down to Melbourne City 2-1 in that game. Give us your thoughts on that and the fact that Wellington is yet to beat this Melbourne City team.
Yeah, I was on the bench for the first half of that, so I really got to sit back and kind of watch the game unfold. And it was really unfortunate because it felt like they capitalized on mistakes from us. And I think even in the last game when we didn't win, I feel like we definitely had chances that we just didn't really put away. So I always say it's hard to beat the same team 3 times. So I think really the pressure's on them. They're the best team in the league. They have all this hype around them. They've done well on paper. This is a game for them to take. So I think for us, we just get to go out and have fun. We get to go out and enjoy this last 90 minutes together as a team this season. We get to reap the benefit of all the hard work and adversity that we went throughout the season. And we just get to focus on the process and put our heads down and put on the work. So I'm really excited, and yeah, I can't wait.
how is Bev leading the group this week? Has there been any change in messaging because it is a big final? Is she largely similar to how she's been addressing the team, or can you just sense that she's got something special waiting for the grand final?
I feel like Bev always has something special every week. But yeah, I think it's the same messaging. It's always about, we don't want to peak after last weekend. We don't want that to be our peak because we have another game this week. So I think she's very much keeping the process, doing the things that we've been doing all season that makes us successful, just keeping our head down and putting in the work and just energy management, attitude management, being together as a team, because I think one of our greatest strengths is we're so together. This is a team that loves each other, and you can see it in everything we do on the field. So I'm just thinking we just continue to be us and bring our best selves, and, the results at the end of the day, as long as we do what we need to do, it'll work out the way it's supposed to.
Well, Makala, hopefully you'll have a big yellow pocket at Amy Park on the weekend with some travelling fans as well. Good luck to you and the team for this Saturday's decider against Melbourne City. Safe travels, and thank you again for joining us on Dub Zone.
Thank you, guys.
Well, before we break down our potential game changers for the big one on Saturday, let's take a look ahead to August 12, where the Ninja A-League Women's All-Stars will take on the might of Chelsea FC. Arsenal, of course, made the trip down under in 2024, where they eked out a 1-0 win at a packed Marvel Stadium in Melbourne. Bianca, do you have your eye on hopefully lining up, maybe against the likes of Ellie Carpenter and potentially even Sam Kerr in this one?
Yeah, definitely. I think you'd be silly if you were playing in the A-League and didn't want a sort of piece of this opportunity. It's obviously a great experience to see what level you are against some of the world's best. So you either get humbled in terms of what level you're at, or you sort of find out that you can match.
I feel like last time the All-Stars assembled, it was a bit of a Matilda's job audition for Joe Montemuro with the strength of the team. This time, I'd love to see maybe a younger All-Stars team with maybe potential for a stage to show the players to an international audience. I mean, no excuses not to be watching. All the games are available on YouTube. But I would love to see someone like Talia Younis not just play off the bench as a cameo, but actually start in a game like this, because she has star power, and the things she's done this season show not just the good fundamentals but a real star quality. So I think in terms of an all-star selection, Talia Younis fits the bill. Bianca, do you have anyone who you would particularly like to see playing in the game?
For me, I'd probably love to see Pia Vlock. I think she's done fantastic with Wellington this season. She's young, she's energetic, and she'd be confident coming into this grand final. I probably agree with you, to be honest, in terms of it just being more of a setup for the Matildas, having a look. But I think at the end of the day, this should be all-stars of the A-League and the players that have outperformed every other player this season.
It's kind of a reward, isn't it, for a good season, Teo? Defensively, do we go with statistics, or do we go with, players that had a great individual performance?
Well, it's also, but again, who has the star power? Like, I wouldn't be averse to, if I was to pick a player, to have a cameo off the bench, someone like Indiana Dos Santos, who hasn't played all season, recovering from an ACL, but if she's back and ready to go in time for the All-Stars game, I think that's the sort of stage that a player like that should be on.
Well, we shall wait with bated breath to see who coach Jeff Hopkins picks in his Ninja A-League Women All-Stars team. You can grab your tickets from the Ticketmaster website, August 12 at Allianz Stadium in Sydney. Chelsea FC versus Ninja A-League Women All-Stars. To the big one now. Melbourne City taking on the Wellington Phoenix at Amy Park on Saturday. Coverage starts at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Australian Standard Time on 10 Drama and Paramount Plus. That means 5:30 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time, and that'll be on Sky Sport across the Tasman. Bianca, who is the player that is going to break this one open for Wellington?
I mean, I'm going to have to go with Brooke Nunn. I think she's done enough this season to prove that she can not only score but also assist. And in the semi-final, she proved it again.
Nunn's a great choice. We know she's a big game player and loves the big occasion. And playing longer game time this season, she was always willing to be subbed off at the Mariners last season, whereas she's, contributing for longer at Wellington this campaign.
And also the only player that has the chance to go back-to-back in a grand final, Teo.
She's the new Taylor Ray, are you saying, Amy? My choice, you just spoke about it for the All-Stars game. I think Pia Vlock is really the player to watch. Not so much from a goal-scoring point of view, but because she's got such a great eye for a pass and against a Melbourne City defence that is very tough to break down. They need her creativity and a bit of something special. She is the Vlog star. She's scored 6 this season, so she's 2 goals away from becoming the Vloctopus if she gets to 8 goals. Like, I just think, you know, she's really captured the imagination of the Kiwis, and they've been here before with Millie Clegg and Macy Fraser, so it's important not to get too excited about the next golden child of New Zealand football, but she has all the makings of it, and why not shine in a grand final?
I love the Vlog star. That one's going to stick for sure. City are looking for their first grand final win since 2020 when they, of course, defeated Sydney FC. So who's stepping up for City on the weekend?
I'm going to say McKenna. I'm going to go with McKenna for this one. I think she's been consistent in terms of the quality that she produces. She obviously got her Matilda's call up because of that. This is a goal she's obviously produced in the semi-final when her team needed it, and they got the win because of it. So I think, for me, I'm going to go with McKenna, whether it's a free kick or whether it's just her style of play, linking up in that midfield and providing for some of the likes of Holly Mack, Briley Henry, Aiden Keane.
And Teo, for you?
I think it is Aiden Keane because, yes, we can talk about Holly McNamara's, mini goal drought, but it's because she's attracting the attention of so many defenders, and that has allowed Aiden Keane to really run right, often get isolated one-on-one or even find space. And she's had an outstanding season. I mean, I've made the case that she is a lot closer to her Matilda's call-up than the pure goals and assists would suggest. And the weekend just gone where she was the Ninja Player of the Match is an example of you don't need to score, you don't need to have an assist to have an outstanding game and be a big reason why your team wins. And the fact that she has popped up with some goals and assists is value to that. But it's also, you put too much attention into Holly Mack, as you say, it's going to be Briley Henry, it's going to be Aiden Keane, it's going to be Letitia McKenna. One of them is going to be free if you over-invest in defending Holly McNamara.
Stars all over the park. As we touched on earlier, VAR will feature for the first time in a Ninja A-League in this grand final. What would the players be feeling about that, Bianca, especially off the back of your semi-final last year?
Yeah, look, I think it's interesting that VAR is only brought in for a grand final. For me, if you're going to bring it in, let players experience it all season long, semi-finals, quarter-finals and grand final. It's interesting just to bring it in for one game. It's a concept that we've spoken about within the league, within players, within coaches and things like that. I do think it's a step in the right direction because now we're starting to match the European and the English leagues and things like that, where it is such a sort of default installation within the game. But I think for one game, it just seems a little bit rogue.
I think the best thing that could happen is that VAR doesn't need to intervene. Don't use it just because it's there.
Agreed.
And I want to say, congratulations to Isabella Mawson, who is Referee of the Year and the Central Referee appointment, her first grand final. So congratulations to her. I think she's an excellent referee. And Casey Rybelt, who has lots of experience in the VAR booth on men's games and international games, will be there in the VAR. But Casey, give your hands a day off. Don't press the button. Let's trust the referee out on the pitch, and hopefully we get through without VAR being the talk of the grand final.
All right. Well, final thoughts now. Who wins and why? Teo, we're going to go to you first.
Well, I mean, I'm commentating the game, so I'm obviously going to tell you it's going to be the greatest grand final we've ever seen. I think it'll be 2-2 after 90 minutes, Wellington 3-2 in extra time. It'll be Wellington celebrating at Amy Park.
Bianca.
I'm going to scrap the extra time and penalties since we did that last year. I'm going to go full-time 2-1 Wellington up.
Oh, I'd love to say I feel differently about this one, but even given the record of 8 games straight without losing to Wellington, it might just be the game where they get that broken. So I'm on Wellington also. That is all we have time for in our grand final preview edition of Dub Zone. A big thanks to Bianca Gittany and to Teo Pellizzeri for your input in today's show. Much appreciated. Enjoy the Ninja A-League grand final this Saturday. Coverage on 10 Drama and Paramount Plus from 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Kickoff is at 4:15. We'll see you again next Wednesday for our final edition of Dub Zone for the season. Until then, I'm Amy Duggan. Bye for now.